Hello, my name is Dave Williams, and I'm going to be reading my short story, Bagpipes on the Wind. This is included in my book, Jumble, which is a collection of short stories and drawings. So let's get started. You keep hearing a noise on the wind, a phantom sound, and you think perhaps it's police sirens, not the rich blast of American police cars, but European ones. Sirens you've heard in spy movies. And then someone who came back from a trip to Paris said the sirens really sound like that, sharp and tinny, not sounding all that threatening to you in case you had just plunged a couple rolled up canvases stolen from the Louvre under your trench coat, or necklaces and bracelets you pinched from a posh store on some rue or boulevard, and hearing the sharp sirens in the distance, you figure that you have a bit of time before the gendarmes arrive. Enough time to drink a small cafe au lait at a sidewalk cafe and flirt with the French lady in a skirt who's reading a newspaper, not on a tablet computer, but of actual paper. You give her a golden necklace with a wink and say, "Look for me in the paper tomorrow, mademoiselle." Surely the cameras caught my face as I bolted out the exit. But I hope they caught my good side. I despise the photos the media show of criminals, always making them look nastier than they truly are. After all, everyone has grumpy days and bad hair days. Au revoir, my dear. Her facial expression shows that, while she doesn't quite know what to think, she is obviously amused by this surprise encounter. That facial expression is priceless, itself nearly worth every hour you planned the caper and the risks you took to carry it out. Nearly worth them. Because one cannot pay the bills of fine hotels and restaurants on lovely facial expressions alone. Perhaps some supermodels, female and male alike, can accomplish this, but they are a rarefied few. The French lady says, "Wait, can you tell me your name, s'il vous plaît?" To which you reply, "You will learn my fake name in the newspapers. Nom de plume doesn't fit in this case. Nom de thievery is more accurate. I could tell you my real name, but if you are questioned by the authorities, I would rather you not have to lie on my behalf. Besides, some mystery in life is like drizzling sauce on your vegetables for added flavor. Now, I really must be going." And you decide the phantom sound is more likely bagpipes than police sirens. A young bagpiper full of air pumping through healthy, fresh pink lungs. No, that's wrong. This is too faint for that. This is a middle-aged bagpiper, an office manager fed up with his job and trying out a new hobby, saying to his friends, "What the hell? Everyone chooses the guitar. It's so overplayed. Why not the bagpipes? That takes imagination." To which his friends reply, "That also takes earplugs and woolen hats. The thicker the better, the closer one stands to the aforementioned bagpiper." And the office manager replies, "Then I'll play far off on the hills, covered in heather, away from the muddling masses. So the only time human ears hear me is when the wind carries the notes to the nearest town. And there the sounds will softly settle down to rest. Then scout out the town to see if it has decent restaurants, and perhaps a bit of culture, so as to be suitable to retire in." To which the friends reply, "Hate to tell you this, but you're not that close to retirement. You have many years yet to work in the metaphorical salt mines before you can hang up your pickaxe for good and take it easy." The office manager replies, "Oh, I know full well the amount of years I have left to work, just as I know I have to order more boxes of binder clips for the supply room. But all the years of worrying about supply and demand for the office will be made more bearable by a new hobby. Perhaps the bagpipes will aggravate my wife and our kids when they visit, And our neighbors. But it's not as bad as their god-forsaken leaf blowers that drive me up the wall every autumn. Is it too hard to pick up a rake? To which the friends reply, no, it's just that many people prefer the ease of machines. And the office manager says, without a doubt, machines have made our lives easier, but it's nice to put in some effort now and then. And perhaps that's what this is, bagpipe music on the wind. The sounds make you think of Scottish warriors dressed in woolen kilts, faces painted in cerulean war paint, freshly sharpened axes raised high, and trembling with the excited anticipation of battle. But you don't feel the anticipation of battle. Instead, there's the anticipation of the gas station's restroom, and a salty snack and juice, or perhaps a sweet and bubbly soda. The gas station's clerk nods to you as you walk by the checkout counter. He's a broad-shouldered big guy with a thick beard who looks like he would feel right at home with a cerulean X war-painted on his face and a trembling, ferocious axe raised high, and his war cry causing his opponents' knees to buckle in the fear of knowing they will soon be cut down. You can't help but wonder if the clerk has ever tried the live-action role-playing games that you've read about in a newspaper. Games in which participants dress up as characters and act out a story outlined by a gaming master. Because if the clerk did, he would be very intimidating in battle scenes. Because the clerk needed something to look forward to during the long hours of no customers in the store, punctuated by him ringing up customers, impatient to pay for snacks and leave. Perhaps the clerk wouldn't see acting out an imaginative game as something weird, but as something fun. And, once the snacks are assembled, you get back into your freshly gassed car and pull away from the gas station, pulling out in front of a tractor trailer that's also exiting the station, but at a much slower pace, so you grab the chance to be in front of him. The truck in your rearview mirror makes you think of life as a series of going to places, from here to the next, and that truck driver would probably agree with this analogy, nodding and drinking his coffee before saying, yeah, but what are you going to do? The bills don't pay themselves. To which you reply, you could steal paintings or expensive jewelry, but that comes with a high risk of being caught and imprisoned. The truck driver replies, if I was put in prison, I'd miss the open road. For quick cash, you could also try the lottery, which has a much lower risk, but the risk increases the more money you throw at it. You could throw away all your money chasing that dream. To which you reply, you sure could, and the open road is certainly wondrous. It holds the appeal of American freedom and Kerouacian rambunctiousness. But sometimes you want to find a nice spot, lay down the battle axe, and sit for a bit. The truck driver replies, to each their own, but I might get to that point eventually. Both of you nod that solemn, knowing nod over your coffees, and look out the truck stop's bank of windows, toward the horizon line that subtly beckons you to come closer and see what's on the other side. But the more you drive toward it, you find the horizon line has a habit of continually jumping back to the distance to beckon some more. So the beckoning becomes an endless cycle of moving and discovering, likely resulting in a circumnavigation around the entire globe, and you end up where you started, give or take a few miles. And, entering the highway in front of the tractor trailer, you pick up speed and keep looking for those hills covered in heather that are perfect for bagpiping, or a lovely sun-bathed French countryside, far away from the gendarmes, racing around with shrill sirens, making a ruckus on Parisian streets. However, one day a government-issue car drives to a small French town, and parks on a side street away from the shops. The lead inspector steps out of the car, walks to your house, nestled against other houses in the middle of a block on the cobblestone street. You doubt the French lady at the cafe gave you up. The gendarmes never found her. She wears the necklace only during nighttime walks along the Seine, avoiding crowded public places where someone might recognize the necklace as stolen. Her fingertips fiddling with the necklace, she looks at the river and ruminates on what might have been. The lead inspector could have used a sophisticated facial recognition computer program to work through the complex web of your noms de thievery. If that is true, the machine caught you, not the sleuthing skills of the lead inspector. You invite him into your house, make him coffee as you sit facing each other in the living room. He has a hard, determined face, and he keeps smoothing down his mustache with his right forefinger, his eyes piercing into yours, trying to pry open your memories to get to the kernel of truth, or a plausible enough story to convince a jury of your peers. The inspector says, "We have proof of your crimes." To which you reply, "What crimes?" He says, "You know very well what crimes. You have stolen expensive items, and you will pay dearly." To which you reply, "I don't know what you're talking about. You are welcome to search my home for whatever you are looking for. Perhaps the items were misplaced rather than stolen. People can be so clumsy." His eyes becoming even more intense, the lead inspector says, "Without question, they were stolen. And without question, they were stolen by you." The inspector lifts a cell phone from his jacket's interior pocket, and he plays a video of you racing out of a posh store. He says, "Took me a while to find you. That is most certainly your face." To which you reply, "It looks a little like me, but haven't you heard of doppelgangers? That must be mine." The inspector says, "The computer is 99.3% sure it is you. Case closed." And you reply, "But what of the 0.7%? There's doubt. I live in that doubt. I am innocent." The inspector slumps to the side, and you are quick to catch him before he crashes to the floor and gets a nasty bruise on his head. The powerful sedative you put in his coffee has taken effect. Since you planned for this event, even though you had thought it unlikely to happen, it seemed foolish to not plan for it. The lead inspector will sleep deeply for at least 8 hours, unless he brought a partner, maybe a junior inspector, with him to this town. And if the partner bashes down the front door of your house after the lead inspector hasn't come out in a reasonable amount of time, and the partner suspects foul play. And, in case a police partner awaits outside, you exit your house through the back door and you steal away through an alley. You can't help stopping in the bakery to buy one last loaf of bread from Lucette. You will miss this bread immensely. Fresh and soft, it made a mockery of every other bread you've tasted in your life. The croissants were like manna from heaven, as if the angels themselves bake them. You've told this to Lucette before, and you tell her one more time as she hands you a bag of bread. Indeed, you will miss this little French village, with its magnificent bakery and authentic restaurants, and the villagers who were standoffish to you at first, then warmed to you and laughed at your attempts at speaking French. Yet they were glad you made an effort to learn their language. You will drive on small roads to Spain, where you will use a credit card in a fake name that the police can't know about because it was never linked to the other fake names. Your Swiss bank account is in this name, so it should be safe. If you are wrong, then you will just have to go to prison. And if that happens, you will write a book about your adventures and use your real name, not a nom de plume. Surely, a publisher would be interested in your story. They might smell a bestseller. That possibility is tempting for you to write the book anyway, imprisonment or not. If you are not caught, you will make your way back to America. And while the search may be long, you know in your heart that you will eventually find a small town with streets of charming shops and places to eat. You and the missus will retire there for a quiet life, away from the hustle and bustle of the city, full of impatient citizens. A life away from the soul-draining corporate world of coworkers complaining about other employees who slack off too much, and coworkers complaining the binder clips are running low again in the supply room. And Vera Cantrell, who, you are convinced of this, has stolen many highlighter pens in a variety of colors, because Vera Cantrell once said her daughter loves drawing with them. You confronted her about the thievery of highlighter pens, and she denied it while acting insulted. You told your boss, to which she replied with a shrug, "What's a few highlighters? It's not like Vera's running out with a box of computers." Your retirement will be a life without crime, except you will daydream about adventures you could have had as an international art and jewel thief. There will be no gendarmes, or piercing-eyed inspectors, or kilted warriors in the charming town. No loads for you to continually drive from one destination to the next. Instead, there will be dates with the missus in the handful of restaurants, lazy mornings reading the newspaper in a coffee shop, several close friends with whom you rotate houses in which you have dinner parties. There will be bread from a bakery that's good enough. You doubt you will ever learn to play the bagpipes, but the music of the wind will be quite soothing.